Hey everyone, welcome to this full moon Sidereal astrology forecast. This is for the full moon on Wednesday and Thursday, December 11th and 12th, 2019. All right, so full moon in Taurus. If you're expecting me to say Gemini just then, be sure to check out the link down below. We are using the actual size of the constellations, which does change the signs from mainstream astrology. All right, so full moon in Taurus, the bull, great time of now cultivating the side of ourself that is resourceful, steady, likes to take things one step at a time, and is really anchored into the earthy elements of life. And so for this, good to cultivate what you could call our inner and outer resources. So with this integration and status check, we do have a square up to Neptune with the full moon. So still good to be receptive, be accepting, see how we can develop a bit of healthy receptivity along the life journey. And balancing all this earthy energy that we're developing with, again, this grounded side of ourselves with the more spiritual side of ourselves. We do have the sun in healing Ophiuchus, so the larger context is still really good for all things on that deeper level. All right, so other than this, we do have some other aspects. We've got Venus passing over Saturn, and so there could be some new foundations with our values. We have Mars starting to trine up to Neptune going into the later part of the week, so probably easy to do some of that receptive stuff maybe a little bit later in the week. And Chiron, the comet of healing, starting to go station direct. All right, so let's take a look at all of this here in more detail when I return. All right, so here is the chart for the full moon. Again, it will be right in between both days, Wednesday and Thursday. The exact time will be 01:29 Eastern time of the Americas on Thursday the 11th, if you do want to make that calculation for wherever you are in the world. But again, we'll likely be feeling it both days here. All right, so full moon. Full moons are a time of, first of all, the heightened part of the lunar cycle. It is the highest energy time, but it is this insight, you could say, right? With that higher energy does come this awareness. The moon is full, that conscious light of the sun bouncing off of the receptive elements of our being or our emotions and feelings. So we start to gain usually some good insights. So great to do a status check, see how things are going just generally in the cycle, and now what we can further develop. So with Taurus the bull, this could be developing the side of ourself that is resourceful. Right, it's about taking things one step at a time. It's the side of ourselves that's very grounded, very steady, right? And likes to really anchor ourselves into this more patient, diligent approach to things. So great to do this, great for cultivating our inner self-reliance, inner self-value, again, resourcefulness. Good time of seeing our natural gifts, natural talents and abilities that, again, we can connect to. But also externally as well. Really good time for connecting to nature, maybe a good meal, relaxing into the comforts of life. Again, anything on this material realm, really good to, again, do a status check with and further develop. So for the remainder of the cycle, the next 2 weeks, it's a great time of now implementing this sort of slow, steady, resourceful side of ourselves. So with this, of course, all full moons are about balance. So we do have the sun in deep Ophiuchus, which means that the larger context is still that of around healing. And so we're likely collectively viewing life through the lens of what can be healed and transformed right now. So a really good way of working with this is while we're cultivating this sort of earthy, grounded, resourceful side of ourselves, to also balance that out with our deeper life, right? Getting plenty of time to focus on what matters most in life. Build this sense of trust with ourself and with life and in our relationships. Could be a great time for intimacy and healing type of energy in our one-to-one connections as well. But seeing that, there is always this polarity, and it's important to have both the physical and the spiritual, right? And connecting to our material values of Taurus, while at the same time our deeper values and what matters most in life, again, on that deeper level with Ophiuchus. So great to find that balance there. Now with this full moon, we do have a T-square up to Neptune. It's the only major aspect that we do have with the full moon. And in this case, it is about integrating a healthy, receptive approach. So collectively, sometimes with squares, it can be a little bit more towards the imbalanced side of things. So with Neptune, it can be maybe wanting to escape, or maybe there's some uncertainty or some doubts about things, or maybe just feeling a little bit of nebulousness or that heavy water, oceanic kind of energy. So squares are great though for integration. And in this case, what can we integrate healthfully regarding Neptune things? So this could be healthy spiritual activities. It could be taking a more accepting and trusting approach along the life journey, right? In terms of the divine process and listening to our intuition, having a little bit more acceptance of what is. Really good time for challenging ourselves towards creative matters or imagination, maybe building towards some dreams, if there are any dreams that are coming to your awareness during this time. So good to incorporate this diligent approach to healthy receptivity into our life. And that can be a really good way of anchoring this full moon, and it can become very constructive for all things on this etheric level with Neptune. All right, so that's the full moon in a nutshell, definitely concentrated around these three parts of the sky. But of course, the ruler of Taurus, Venus, is in Sagittarius, so we could say that where a lot of this resourcefulness is being integrated through is it's likely through our more maybe adventurous side, free-spirited side, seeing opportunities and potentials, which is what Sagittarius is all about. With that being said, though, we do have Venus passing over Saturn as we do approach the full moon. So in this case, it could all be very grounded. From a larger context, 2019 and even going into next year as well, will be a really good time of building upon our ideals. A lot of these are going to transform as well with Pluto. Talk about that in the yearly forecast. Saturn and Pluto combined, being some restructuring taking place to our beliefs and perspectives. But nonetheless, building upon them, right? What are some inspirations, some potentials we can build upon? And with Venus over Saturn, again, anything on this earthy realm, resourceful realm, values realm that we do want to take for the long term, patiently and diligently, could be a really good way of working with this full moon, especially Wednesday right before it. All right, so then again, the full moon will be late Wednesday, early Thursday, and then going into to tomorrow in this case, which would be Friday, we do have a couple aspects. We've got Mars trining up to Neptune, which is quite easy with that Neptune energy. So although there is a bit of that square with the full moon, once Mars starts to trine going into Friday, there is this really good receptive side to how we're taking action. Usually with this, we can be quite assertive and direct and initiative with things, but at the same time, quite receptive, right? Being willing to go with the flow, being more accepting, this really good balance between the fire and water aspects of our personality. But again, that'll be strongest over the weekend, so I'll talk about that in the weekend forecast. And then also here on Thursday going into Friday, we do have Chiron going station direct. So with the sun and Ophiuchus, again, there is this emphasis on healing. And a lot of this can maybe start to shift. There might be something shifting going into the weekend. We're maybe starting to learn something about healing that can then be implemented or applied, or we just start to move that energy forward a bit in our lives. And in Pisces, this could be about having more of that acceptance and receptive approach to things, which could end up being very healing and therapeutic for all of us collectively with that. All right, everyone, so that is the full moon in a nutshell. Most important thing is it is the heightened part of the cycle. Good time to do a status check, and whatever comes to our awareness this part of the week, great to further develop for the remainder of the cycle, but even the next 6 months, if there is anything that does come ahead here. The main context collectively is around Taurus, which is the development of our resourceful side, both internally and externally, and balancing that with the deeper values and some healing energy, the spiritual side to things, while taking the healthy approach to receptivity, acceptance, and a willingness to go with the flow in a very constructive and conscious way with the square up to Neptune. All right, so everyone have a fantastic full moon. Thank you so much for watching. And down below, actually in the comment section, I will put which houses specifically this is for each of the signs. So if you do want to see exactly which house this full moon is for you, that'll give you a little bit more information there. But hope you'll have a fantastic one. Thank you again for all of your support, and I'll see you all in the next daily video. Take care.